It's 10 o'clock. It's Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour number 200 and I think 57. 58. I'll check later and post it correctly on the video. My name's John Kelsey. I'm your moderator this morning. I'm going to have some club news, and let's do that first. Ziegler, what do you got club news?
Well, I've lost track of time. The weeks are just flying by. Last meeting, I think it was. We had to return it wasn't our, but the Powermatic 3520 we've had for a number of years. It belongs to Rick Baker, who's the president of the Mid-Atlantic Woodturners Association, the ones that host the annual symposium. Doug Reeser is our representative in that group, and Doug notified us a month or two ago that Rick wanted his Powermatic back. So I and the executive committee were discussing how we go about replacing that lathe, and then we have an older jet in the back of the turning area that probably could be replaced, and so I was cogitating and picking my brains and others about how we should go about getting a new lathe. Not inexpensive propositions, as you know. So the night of the meeting, I introduced sort of the notion of getting a lathe subcommittee together, and with 3 people or so. Right before the meeting, Peter Caddick, one of our members, told me that he had a grizzly lathe that he would donate to us, a smaller grizzly lathe. It's a 1-inch spindle, but it's long and probably maybe 42-inch bed or something like that. It's a long bed, but not a lot of swing. So that kind of solved our jet issue. And then before Toby's excellent demonstration, Doug kind of raised his hand and said, "Well, Doug, why don't you tell that?" Doug just disappeared.
No, he's here. He's got muted. You got it on mute, Doug.
Because I've seen Toby's presentation quite a few times. I wasn't paying so close attention. I went onto Craigslist and found a Powermatic 335 whatever B in Philadelphia for the price we wanted. And the gentleman was selling. He's a former wood turner, and he used to do a lot of demonstration stuff. Was getting rid of the rest of the tools in his shop. So we got the lathe. A whole mass of tools, a whole mass of blanks, a dust collector, and a grinder, all for $4,000. And the lathe is in excellent condition. So we went up to West Philly together and picked it up.
Yeah. So talk about, 2 birds in one meeting. I have some photographs of the equipment that we got if you'd like me to.
I love it. Please do.
Okay. So let's see if this will work. Can you see that?
Yeah. Got it.
Let's see if I can play it. So this is some of the stuff that's was in Kaufman's. You can see the lathe on the left, the dust collector and filter next to it.
The dust collector came with it and is worked up for the lathe?
It's not hooked up to the lathe. It just came with it. To be honest, I'm not sure how useful it will be for us because first of all, it's a monster. Second of all, I'm not sure if it's a dust collector or a dust generator. But anyhow, we have that in that blue 30 or 40 gallon container. He gave us all kinds of wood blanks, and then you can see on the floor 2 large vessels that he rough turned, and then in the bucket there's a bunch of roughed out bowls that are really dry now. There's some implements in that plastic for the lathe.
And a bed extension. There's a bed extension there too for it.
Yeah, there's a bed extension, which is nice. These are just another shot of the roughed out bowls. These are the turning tools and the face shield that came with it.
Stay there for a second. Tell us a little bit about what you got there. Are they older tools? Any of them actually good? Are they carbon steel? What do you think you have?
I think we have a range of Benjamin's Best all the way up to some really nice high-speed steel tools, and a bunch in the middle. There's a bunch of Sorby tools, scrapers, and what have you. So we're going to sort through it and decide what we should keep for the club. And Jim Barr will make we'll consolidate all of the tournaments we have for the club, and make a place for them to live. And then we will, I'm guessing, probably sell the others at a pretty fair price, because some of them are maybe just not what we want at the shop.
John, to your question, a couple of those tools are in the $150 range, and along with the, if you take a look at the far right, there's also that grab for you doing hollow forming and stuff, hollowing with the elbow tool. I'm not so sure I like it, but it's still there. So
Yeah,
there's quite a few good quality. He also acknowledged some of them are just giveaways, but even so.
What about
Right.
chucks?
We got some chucks. We haven't sorted through everything we have yet, but that will come on Saturday. So that's the tools. And as Doug said, some are really nice and really expensive, and then some are just fine. I mean, a bunch of Storby tools, and then there's some of the Benjamin Best, they're really tiny scrapers and what have you.
So
And then go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, John.
You
Go ahead.
You got another slide?
Yeah. So this is just pretty much everything in one place. So Doug and I took Rick's lathe back to him. I've lost track of which day. I guess we took
Thursday.
it back Thursday. And then we went to West Philly and picked up all this stuff on Friday. The fellow that sold this to us turns out to be an Irishman who's been in the country about 20 years, and he used to make some really nice turnings and sold some in the gallery. One, I think he mentioned, Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, he sold it for $2,400. So he wasn't he was no sloth when it came to wood turning. He's just focused on other aspects of woodworking. So he had to clean out his basement, and we were the beneficiary. I mean, $4,000 it's not a small amount of money, but I'll tell you, we got some pretty nice stuff pretty quickly for that investment.
Any more photos?
No more photos. I will
Okay.
say that, hold on, let me stop the screen share.
Yeah, please, or I'll do it. Okay, gotcha.
There we go. So then Ben Kaufman and I on Saturday got everything up into the shop, and then assembled the Powermatic, spun it real quickly, but didn't test anything out except turn the motor on. And then on Monday, Jim Barr, I went over there to kind of reorganize the shop and put everything in some place where we could take a look at everything on Saturday when we have open shop. It was, I guess it was just pretty fortuitous. And Doug hit the lottery when he found this on Craigslist.
Chance favors a prepared mind. It was a good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you guys have been thinking about this for a while, and you were ready when it happened. It was great.
Well, the funny
Yeah.
thing is, you're right. Chance favors a prepared mind, but the funny thing is, I was sitting there going, "Oh my God, I'd like to get this solved by August, so on and so forth." And it was solved the night that I brought it up.
You got it moved in already, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, everything went okay. We returned I'll call them the motorcycle lifts that Rick made to transport the lathes. I had bought a Harbor Freight hydraulic table with 1,000-pound capacity when I got my new lathe. And that seemed to work pretty good. So I thought, well, maybe the club could use one. So I got one for the club. The only trick is I woke up Saturday morning realizing that it would not work the way the motorcycle lifts work on the landing at Kaufman's, because it would be perpendicular to the lathe, and there's no way that would fit through the door. So Ben and I scratched our heads. I made a weird jig out of a couple of 6x6s and a piece of plywood. Well, it turned out that was fortuitous, because we took one leg off the lathe and we aligned the hydraulic table the way that the motorcycle lifts were aligned, and we were able to pull it into the shop that way and then reattach the lathe. So once it's up in the shop, it works like a charm. You can move it or any of the other lathes that need. We have now 3 lathes on legs and not the benches. Actually, we have 3. So anyhow, it worked fine.
You just froze, my friend. Or did I?
I hate, did I?
So,
Am I
okay, say
back?
your last statement again. You had frozen for a moment.
Well, I'm just saying the hydraulic table will work and we're back in business, I'm pretty sure, and we'll just sort through the rest of the appliances.
And
And open.
since he froze again, John, I think we have 6 or 7 lathes up in the clubhouse now for people for turning on our open house on Saturdays, and if we choose to get somebody in to help with lessons as well. So
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay. Any other club news? Open shop is this Saturday for Lancaster Club or anybody who's in the area, 9 to noon. Bring your tools, bring your problems, bring your questions, bring your coffee mug. Uh, take some wood away with you. There's always wood there. Uh, any other club news?
Yeah, we're having our Edmonton Woodturners Guild meeting this evening, and it's the last one for the summer. And we have a wig stand program with our Cross Cancer Institute. So I'm going to do a demonstration today on how to make a wig stand, or how I make a wig stand. And then Stu and I cut up about 40 blanks, sets of blanks for people to take away for the summer, and hopefully bring them back in the fall. And we'll have some wig stands for the cross cancer.
I took a look at the membership roster last night for the first time in about a year in order to make sure there were no new members to move over to the coffee hour list. And it was very pleasant to see just how many of the Edmonton Guild members are cross members with Lancaster. I mean, that's a very, very, very fun kind of international friendship, especially in these times.
Nittany Valley Woodturners, we're having our company picnic and last meeting of the summer on Saturday. We have a spear challenge, and I'm not going to give away what it is, but it's a spears challenge, and we have a little game set up, and we have some prizes. We have some turning kits that we're going to give away.
Where's that going to be?
That's going to be, it's called Circleville Park. It's our local Parks and Recs runs the park. It's very nice. We had to pay like $65 to reserve it, and they gave me the emergency or the non-emergency phone number for the police department in case somebody was there and they weren't supposed to be. I thought that was kind of funny.
Okay. Any other club news? How about the Lodgers? Garrett, what's going on with you guys?
In I guess a week and a half, we're going to have our mini symposium, and we're looking forward to that. We've invited the public in, and we're hoping to generate some new members.
All right. And I know that this is the weekend of the AAW Symposium in St. Paul. I'm not attending this year. I can see we're down a few members on here, and I imagine some of them at least are in St. Paul. How many of you guys on screen here are doing the video, subscribe to the videos of the event? Let me see hands. 1, 2. I'm seeing some, that's for sure. It's a good event to support, lots to go on. I personally think the video thing is a great idea. Yeah.
John,
Yeah.
our Susquehanna Woodturners meeting was this last Tuesday, and we had a presentation on shop-made finishes. Lots of shop-made finishes.
Well, what was the ones that were the most successful in your view?
Actually, the traditional ones, the OB Shine Juice, was pretty good.
What's the formula?
It's very simple. It's only 3 items. You put in equal parts of each one, and I don't have the sheet in front of me. But basically, it is, as I remember, denatured alcohol, beeswax, and shellac.
Okay. We used to use a furnish we called 1, 2, 3, which was oil, varnish, and I can't remember anymore.
Mineral spirit. To Mesa
Yep.
third.
Yeah. And it pretty much approximated Minwax antique oil is what I concluded myself. Waterlocks, that same family of finishes, but softer. And after I got to meet some Finnish chemists, I learned that I came to agree with them that you're better off to let a chemist who knows what he's doing mix the finish and buy that. Any other club stuff? Mike Peace, I see you up
No.
here on screen with your hand up. Why don't you take it away?
Okay, what I've turned this past week I turned this pot, Richard Raffan style, and it uses a metallic effects finish that you coat it, let it dry, you coat it again, and then you spritz it with something that causes the little metal particles in the finish to oxidize and become a patina. This one is iron. This one is verdigris. I turned this one some time back. And then Richard Raffan style, I did the inside it with red, which I really like. It's kind of different. I wouldn't have thought I would have liked it, but after seeing his, I really like it.
Can you let me? I'm going to get you back to speaker view, and I want to see that again. Can you hold those? Yeah, there you go. Okay, and can we maybe see the bottom and inside and around again? And I'd like to know more about
this one. I went ahead and coated. This one I left natural, so people could, if they insisted it wasn't wood, they could verify that it was wood.
So what is the finish process on that? A little more deed on that?
Modern Masters is the name of the company that is the most popular. It used to be Verde. Mine is like 10 years old, or maybe older than that. So it's beginning to, I don't know, about to run out. But you put a coat on there. Actually, they tell you to seal it first with something. I don't bother to seal it because I don't find that I have any bleed through from the wood through the finish. You let it dry, then you put another coat on it, and while it's still wet, you spray this reactive spray on it, which causes the metal in it. And let me show you a sample board. Here's a sample board. There's 4 different finishes. There's bronze, copper, brass, and iron.
Now, is it like a paint, thick, or what is it?
Yeah,
how does it go on?
It's kind of like an acrylic. It's heavy. It probably is acrylic.
And you put it on. How do you put it on with?
A brush. And then when you spritz this stuff on it, you could use a sea sponge, or you could just spray it, or you could dab it with something else, depending on what kind of effect you want. If you want to highlight this area, you might use a brush with that spritzing stuff to make sure you get it inside the grooves. This one, I just spritzed it, and then later I came back, I think, with a sea sponge and dabbed it in a few places.
Is it inside the vessel as well?
No, the inside is just a red acrylic paint.
And
you don't have to sand it.
You don't have to. How durable is that finish?
Well, it's not a utility item, so I mean, you can handle it. You can pick it up, put it on a shelf. It's good enough. I don't put anything on top of it.
Let's, while we have you there, talk about that for a minute, because I got some comments about that. You usually ask people about the guacamole test. I don't mean by doing that to suggest that objects that I don't care about, non-utilitarian objects. I'm just wanting to sort out which is which. I think it's perfectly lovely to make a thing like that simply as a sculpture. But I'm curious. I still would like to know from you, Mike. Would you rather it look like rusted metal, or rather it look like wood? Now that you've made a couple of them, how's it? Where are you on that?
I like both. I've done a number of pots with different woods, and they look very nice. I've used burl and green wood, but this is kind of a unique finish. I've used this kind of finish on some of those lantern ornaments that Bert and I both did videos on, and they look very nice because you can make them look like an old lantern with this type of finish. It's not something I would eat out of. This one, interestingly enough, was turned green out of hickory out of my backyard, and it was cracking pretty badly the first 2-3 days. I put it in a bag, and I thought, well, I wonder what's going to happen to that. And it cracked near the pith because this is turned cross grain with the pith coming through it. Richard likes that because it causes it to deform, and you can put it in a microwave and nuke it for a while, go through that process, and that causes some quick drying and quick deformation. But I put it back in a bag for a few days, and it's sealed up. And then, of course, with this finish on it, it would hide any little lines because it has kind of a rough iron-looking finish to it, so you don't have to sand it inside or out. The inside just acrylic paint.
Mike, does that give a sort of a surprise factor for people because it may look like whatever, but when you pick it up, it's a lot lighter?
I gave one of the lanterns to my sister. She took it to her bridge or mahjong group, and several of the ladies in it just insisted that it was ceramic or something. They just would not. They refused to believe it was made out of wood.
What would happen if you mix that stuff with? Can you mix that with paint to get some color into it if you wanted to do that? I mean, I see it has a green verdigris. Could you get it like to have other tints the same way?
Well, I don't think so. I think you got to stick with those four basic because it's got metallic in the paint. If you don't have those metallic particles, you're not going to get the reaction when you spritz it with that
Right.
patina stuff.
You don't want to dilute it.
No, you don't want to start mixing regular acrylic paint, or you're just going to get kind of a mess. I think a blotchy.
On your sample board, you got Mike. Which one is which? Like there's colors across the bottom and across the top. Which one is which?
I've got it marked here. Okay. Bronze.
Hold it up a little higher.
Yeah.
There
This
you
one
go.
is. Let's see. Where am I starting with? This is bronze. This is. It says B2. I don't know exactly what that is. One of them is, no, I'm sorry. This one's brass. This one's bronze. This one is copper, and this is iron.
Which one is which? Like you got the top layer and the bottom layer.
They're both, they mirror each other. One's with the one's on top is with the spritzer after I've.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So the green verdigris looks pretty much the same on these three. But the underlying color that shows, between it, depending on how much you have on there, is going to give you a different color. Now I bought some new spritzer because I was about to run out. I got it from Craft Supply, and like I say, the company's Modern Masters. It looked just like the old spritzer, but it didn't seem to work as well on some of these. So I'm still experimenting with that. But it's something fun to play with, and it works for certain things. I put one on a bowl one time, and I thought, what an ugly bowl, But I think for the pots, I think it's a really good match, because it makes it look old and rustic. And I think for the lantern ornaments, it looks really good. I'm not sure I would put this on many hollow forms or a box.
Hey, Mike,
Do you think it would?
did you do the bottom of your box too, or did you leave it
I
right?
did one I did and one I didn't. I think going forward, I would leave the bottom natural wood just so it's a surprise when people turn it over. It's obvious that it's wood.
Would
Yeah, I
it
think I
survive
like that
outdoors,
idea.
do you think?
What's that?
Would that finish survive outdoors?
I think it would. The company that makes this stuff, it's not just for little wood art objects. You can put that copper verdigris on gutters and, larger outdoor items.
Yeah.
So I think it would survive as long as you sealed underneath it, so it wouldn't, the water wouldn't penetrate through it to the wood or whatever the underlying item was. I think it probably would hold up pretty well.
I'm thinking it might go on the counterweight for my sliding screen door.
Yeah. It's
Mike,
worth getting
can
some
you-
to give it a try. It can be kind of pricey. They've got different kind of kits. Some of the kits have got one color and a spritzer. Others got 3 or 4 different the colors in the spritzer. But I'm thinking that this new spritzer doesn't do both colors, the iron and the verdigris, as well as the old one. But I'm still experimenting with that to find out.
So the type
Hey,
of wood
Mike.
doesn't really matter.
It's going to be covered.
Just covers it up.
Yeah, it covers it up completely. Like I say, you don't even bother to sand it because it goes on really thick, and you're going to have 2 coats on it, so it's going to have kind of a rough acrylic kind of finish to it, and the metal particles in it, add to that kind of roughness. It's not going to be smooth. Now, I suppose you could spray it with acrylic or use wipe-on poly or something and make it shiny, but I think that kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish.
Now,
Hey, Mike,
go ahead.
the Richard Raffan, when he did the fantasy cup for the 4-way,
Uh-huh.
mixed acrylic color on the inside with some of the verdigris. So if anybody wants to see that effect, he rolled it up over the lip in that goblet. So you can get acrylic color into the base color.
Well, I rolled over this color for the lip and then just did the acrylic on the inside afterwards.
Yeah, he went down inside. He actually, when it was wet, put acrylic on with it. If
Okay.
anybody wants to see it, it's the fantasy goblet that Richard Raffan did in the 4-way song.
Yeah, the Goblet of Fire from Harry Potter. Yeah.
Well, mentioning Richard Raffan, he's the recipient of this year's AAW Lifetime Achievement Award, which in my opinion is about 30 years overdue, and which he'll be receiving and celebrated for at the symposium in St. Paul this weekend. So good on you, Richard.
He's unable to attend, but Sam Angelo is going to be broadcasting or Zooming or Facebooking live back to him so he could see the presentation. I think Mike Mahoney's going to make the presentation.
Well, another longtime player who's unable to attend is our old friend David Ellsworth. He's ill. This will be the first time in the whole history of the symposiums that member number 1 has not been present. Okay, let's go around hands. Let's see who we got. Duxbury. Let's hear from Duxbury. Everybody loves to hear from Duxbury. What do you got, Jim? You're on and muted.
Gotcha. You surprised me. I hear I'm goofing up.
Well, everybody loves you, so I get you on first.
Oh yeah, they do. Okay, this is what is this? Every time this is a set of balls. The original set of balls I had were just a set of balls with another ball on top, and well, I made these 10 years ago, and I thought, if I had a pin down here like that, that adds another drive and a tremendous amount of weight on the top. I got a woman, well, I got a couple people buy my work, just buy it. And she had this in her kitchen for, I don't know, 10 years. It was all water spotted and beat up. She says, I spin this every day. But
so now, wait a minute. Does that stick touch the bottom bowl, or is it?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No, the key to making this thing work is the race has to be spaced, and it's really critical. The race is the really critical part of this whole thing. That has to have a space in between each ball. If these balls touch each other, it's over. Also, the top ball, in most of them that I've made, I sold one last week, the top ball only spreads these other balls. But with
that's its role, really.
This adds another drive point. It's tangent to those down there, and makes the thing work.
Wait a minute. You mean the stem touches those balls?
The stem touches the side of those balls. Yeah, when I made it, I thought, damn, that's kind of neat. There's a hole down the middle. I could put a pin down there.
Now, does it touch all 3 of them or just one of them?
It's touching, but Well, I think it's touching one at a time. I don't think it's
Yeah.
touching all three. Although
There's
if it did, these balls are tangent to the race on the bottom and the side here.
Yeah.
This ball's just tangent here, but on
Yeah.
this one, with the peg down the middle, it drives on this too. So it's a much different, and I made this thin so you could spin it like this. Anyway,
Blows me
no
away.
anybody gets tired of wood turning, there's got to have something wrong with them. I'll tell you. They're just every you do this, there's something else. You know, this doesn't have to be a ball. This could be round on the bottom and flange out here, or do anything to add more mass.
I think that if you take a look at the top point, that shows you how close to spherical all your balls are, because that's actually tracking extremely close to dead on.
These are turned by eye. I do not have a turning jig. And when I first turn, oh, they can go the other way too. If people have asked me that, okay? But anyway, when I turn these and they're done, they're round, perfect, just about. When the weather changes, it's wood.
Yeah.
You know, something's going to change. I got a really big set, which was stupid because the bigger the set, and the bigger the pieces of wood, masses of wood, rather than like this ball's one piece of wood. That's going to change way more than these that are made out of 3 pieces. But anyway, when
you say you turn those by eye, are you doing measuring, or do you just have a good eye?
Well, I use the math.
You make an octagon.
Nobody likes to know the math, but I use the math. When you've got a say this is 4x4 in cylinder.
You see, come a little more into the camera. You're a little almost outside the camera. There you go.
Oh, I forget which camera I'm on. If you have a 4x4 cube, you turn it around this way, and you know you've got the length of it this way, so you've got this and this defined. To define this tangent point, I worked this out, and after I spent an hour and a half working it out, it's on the web. Anyway, you come in 0.5856 inches, or times the diameter times the radius. 0.5856 times the radius. That gives you the distance in here from the end of the cube, and also from the top down. So when you cut a straight plane across here, you've defined the tangent point between these 2 points.
You've made an octagon.
Yes, but then you've got very little to take out on each one of these to make a ball.
You've already, the centers of the we were talking about this earlier, the centers of each of those flat faces are, once you've made the octagon cross section, are on the surface of the finished ball, so you never touch those spots again.
That's right. That's right. And all you got to do is round out that little corner or that little edge and make that round, and you've got it.
80 grits your uncle.
You got it. How did you know that? Anyway, I can make these. Problem is, when I sell them, I have to make another set, and I don't know. I got many other things I want to do.
Do you finish them off between centers, between cone centers, then when you're doing the final round cutting?
Yeah, I have cup centers with inner tube on them, and the finish is a wax. I don't like wax finishes, and that's why it had to be refinished, because she got drops of water on them or something. Wax doesn't hold up good at all, but it's nice and smooth, and it makes things work good.
So what do you sell them for?
Renaissance, 450, 500, just the balls. It depends on the size too. Yeah. I had
more questions for Jim?
I had a guy in Raleigh buy one from me, and he walked around, and one day and he looked at these things. He came back the next day, he spun them, he brought his wife, and he bought them at $450. Anyway, a year later, I was doing a demo in a 50 miles from there. And I happened to look up and I see this guy come through the door and come right at me. I thought, oh my God, the balls blew up or fell apart. Who knows what wood'll do? Anyway, he says, I got to tell you, my neighbor comes in the house. He doesn't even talk to me anymore. He goes over and spins the balls and goes home. And he says, my kids fought over this so much, I had to put it in my will. He says, you can't believe those things. They're a collector's item. But anyway, they have a lot of fun.
Well, it's a fun toy to make. I've made a few of those too. There's dimensions available online or by experiment, you know. Anybody else on this?
Earlier about my shadow turning process for turning perfect spheres. That's a perfect project for me to go out and try. I'm going to try it. Thanks a lot, Jim. You're such an inspiration for ideas to go and try something. That's
yeah. I got one more idea. Remember long time ago, I showed that I take a piece of wood. This is a piece of birch, and I put a mark at both ends of it, and then I bandsaw up one end and then back and then do the other end to make it accordion. When you get all done, this whole thing will open up.
Now there's a fellow, Seth Rollins, has made a career out of doing that.
Oh, there's all kinds of this. They make tables, and my grandson made a table, gorgeous thing. In fact, he cut it this way, then he cut it this way in the middle.
That's what Seth Rollins does too, and it becomes a three-dimensional expandogram.
The thing is gorgeous. Oh, Rita brought. Oh, this is too big. I can't even show this thing. This is
You're almost out of the camera, Dux. Come forward toward the bureau.
I'm at the neighbor's
toward the bureau. Okay, there we got you. Well, you're still way offside though.
But anyway, you can see.
There we go.
That's what it looks like. And there's a cup in the middle here. There's a disc with a cup in it. But anyway, that's a simple one. That opens up. You can sculpt both sides. So if you roll it this way, you get one thing. If you roll it this way, you get something else. You can make it an S shape. You can roll it around and make a planter out of that. But it gets better. And the reason I show this because I can make this stuff now, and I don't know what to do with it. This is steamed. This is the same thing, only it's steamed and it's bent. Isn't that neat?
Did you steam it before you sawed it or after?
Before. No, I sawed it before I steamed it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, it's kind of neat. It's hard to bend and hold and clamp and everything. Steaming's not a fun afternoon anyway. But so I put an arbor through the middle of it. And when you do that, now you can bend it and steam it. And oh man, this thing comes out neat. Think of a use for this. I could put spacers between these, or I could do all kind of things. But
think of a use.
We got to think of a use for this stuff.
I don't know why that's true. I mean, we were talking about that a little bit in the prelims, you know, and with Mike. It's a good question. Does it have to be of use, or can it just be a toy? Can it just be for fun and pleasure? Of course it can.
Well, this is fun and pleasure, I guess. I thought if I did something, I could make something neat out of it. But
you will figure it out. It'll come to you or somebody else. Some kid will come along, you know, and make one of those and blow you out of the water. That's what happens.
Anyway, something neat is coming.
Hang it in a tree and turn it into a wind spinner.
There you go.
What was that? I didn't get it.
I said, hang it from a string in the middle and hang it on a tree, and it'll be a wind spinner.
A mobile or something. Okay.
All right. Thanks a bunch, Dux. I'm going to go to give some minutes to some other folks now. Good to hear from you, as always.
Oh.
Dawn, we haven't heard from you in a while. What do you have? Dawn Smith.
Hello. 2 weeks ago, I showed you that glass trophy I was going to make a base for. You said how I was going to make it. So I'm going to share screen. and you should see that.
Yep.
Now, first of all, with the glass, I put the glass on top of the piece of cardboard, which is the piece that you see here. I then made it 1/2 inch wide all the way around, and then cut my timbers and routed them with a bead on them and cut them down and glued them together. Come on, move.
Yeah, we're still frozen on one.
You're still frozen on one, aren't you?
Yeah, try your next page arrows. Page to the right or left.
Working. Hold on. I'll come out of the share a minute.
Come out of the share and come back in. We'll stay with you.
Top share that's gone up the top there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get the next one up and try it again.
Share.
We're okay. Now see if it'll turn page. We're still on the first picture.
Okay, go to somewhere else and come back to me, John. I'll get it.
All right, we'll do. Have you got the finished thing? Can you hold the finished thing up?
No, that's why I had to disappear last week, because the person came in and took it away. But I have got a photograph in a moment.
Okay,
But
bring that up, and we can go backwards from that. And I'll go to Dave Potts meanwhile. Dave, you ready to go?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
All right, let's see what you'd like to show us today. Good to see you.
Don, a couple weeks ago, had a picture of or samples of some turnings he'd done where scrap wood is glued in the middle, and after the turning is done, he separates the two. Scrap wood gets taken out, and the two smaller halves get brought back together again. I posted in the chat. I think here in the U.S. we call that lost wood process, where you would start with a make the round object. You take the center out, and here's a sample of a figured maple box, and this is a box with a lid.
So how thick was the piece that you took out of that?
So this would have been probably 4 inches in diameter,
And now it's what?
and
You
now
took an
because
inch
this is
out?
just the cord of the original, it's a little less than that. This would have been, and this is from a different box. This would have been the waste part that gets taken out.
So it's about an inch wide.
About an inch,
4 inch
3/4. This is about 3/4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that's that part. You could do whatever. On this one, I messed up, but I used Type Bond 3, which is the dark. This is a light wood, so you can see the glue line that's visible. I had a walnut piece that I've already sold to somebody. That was walnut with the Type Bond 3. That glue line's invisible. So you kind of have to remember, what's going to be visible and what's not going to be visible. But in addition to boxes, you could also do the same thing with a vase. So this is a lost wood process also, where the center part is taken out, and the vase ends up being ovoid.
Now you glue those up with magazine paper in between and then split them? Is that what you do?
I use craft paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Craft paper.
Like
I have a roll of it I use just for glue ups and stuff in the shop, but you could use paper bags, what I used to use. Here in school, a lot of times we use the white line composition paper.
And what kind of glue would you prefer with that? Yellow glue, white glue?
Yellow glue is fine. The regular Type Bonds was fine.
Nice piece.
So just something different. This piece
For sure.
I had on my shop workbench for the winter time, and I went and looked the other day, and it was about filled up to here with cat food. I guess apparently I must have a visitor mouse that would come through, grab some piece of cat food, and drop in the top, sort of a savings bank, I guess, for later on. But he could never get down inside; it's too small for that. So I just dumped the cat food out. So unpaid visitor, I guess, unpaid renter.
Questions for Dave? Okay, I'm thinking everybody's liking that. I'm going to get back to the multi-speaker view.
Just another tangent. Thank you.
A good one too. Thanks for showing it.
Thanks.
Dawn, you ready to go or go to Doug? Let me go to Doug. We'll come back to
I'm
you,
there.
Don. Are you there? Okay, let's go back to Don and yeah.
Right, there's the piece.
Not yet, but we're coming. Nope. Still stuck. But click next. You got a next button now, right over by in the middle, right there. Click it. Click.
Right, there's the framework made up. And there's the base totally made. And then, oh, I've jumped one. And there's the trophy that I had to make it for.
Did you glue it in there, or is it sitting
Oh,
loose?
no, it's sitting loose. Underneath the glass, I did put in a piece of base into the configuration. But that was how I made that one. They didn't want it solid. They wanted to be able to take the glass out for transportation.
Okay. Well, nice work. Nice work indeed. Anybody got any questions about that?
No, I've got another one project I'll show you.
You do? There you go. I was going to make sure you did that.
That is a broken chair. The chair is somewhere between 100 and 150 years old. That's showing you how the chair's all broken at the top here. This arm is broken here. This arm is broken off here.
Were those separate pieces joined together at those points in the first place?
Yes, they were. They were separate. That was turned separate to the spindle because there was a slight bow in this.
Yeah,
Now,
so they were, in other words, they broke at the joints.
Yeah, it broke the joints all over the place. And they repaired it.
Do you know how it broke?
Oh, no idea. It's been broken 25 years.
I was thinking it might be a righteous bar fight.
Possibly. Also
or a rambunctious. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Now, that was the pieces, the two uprights of the back. And those slots you see contained a piece of mild steel, 3/8 wide, 1/4 inch deep. And the people had actually screwed them, cut a router joint in the back of the two spindles, screwed them onto the back of the chair. And of course, the weight of the chair is down the bottom here. The top wouldn't have mattered. The break point is here. And of course, they were bending on them and they broke them again. And this is even broken here. So what I did, I filled them all and I brought them all back to the candy twist on both sides by gluing pieces of wood in and then hand carving and hand sanding those pieces of wood. And there is a piece that's broken. I've drilled through the base of the pillar. I drilled up through the center of the pillar and I've inserted a 3/8 stainless steel rod down through the two of them and glued them all together. And that's the chair when it's all finished and put back together and in its old livery, shall I say.
Now, what's going to fill in that center panel now? Would that be a cane?
No, that's the chair just repaired. Now comes the next part. Took off the seat cover, and that was what was underneath. So I put a new foam over the top, a light foam, and some calico, and I upholstered the chair.
Beautiful job, Don. Beautiful job.
And there's the back of it.
And is that in your own back garden?
No, the lady came and collected that yesterday.
No, I mean the photographs in your own back garden.
The photographs in the back garden, yes. Yes.
Beautiful work. Questions for Don?
Wait a minute. Ooh, I haven't finished the day, John.
No, you're not done. Okay, well, on you go.
Here's another project from the same lady. The stretchers had broken. So I've replaced both stretchers and cleaned up the stool. Again, this has been broken for about 20 years and she wouldn't get rid of it. So she's very pleased with that one. But then in the meantime, I get another trophy to make. And that's the trophy base for that trophy.
What's
And
the
then
subject of that trophy? Now, who's given that trophy for what?
that trophy is called the Chairman's Cup. And that's all I can tell you, because that's all that's engraved on it, except for the bottom ring is now full of all the names. So I've had to extend it so they can get another 29 years out of it.
So we don't know if it's for soccer or cricket or.
No, I don't know. It comes
Okay.
from my customer, and I just asked to do it. And as I say, the only thing it's got on is the captain's cup, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's literally at the top of the cup there.
Yep. Yep.
And then one last thing, I was asked to make a hobby horse. So this is the bottom wheels. I turned this base, turned two wheels, and put a little metal bush in them, screwed them onto this piece here to make a hobby horse. And then there it is. The head.
Good job.
So that's what I've been up to over the past 2 weeks. That's
Now,
why I didn't.
what is that hair made out of?
That I don't know, because my daughter did that for me, and I've seen it back.
Is it like fabric? Oh, fabric or leather or?
I think it's a fabric.
Yeah.
Because what it is, it's a competition to guess the bear's name, and it's a cowboy name, and the bear wanted a hobby horse to go with it.
Don, terrific.
So that's everything I've got. So any questions from anybody? But you can see I don't just do wood turning, I do other things as well.
Did you test ride the hobby horse? Make sure it was okay?
No, it's only 18 inches tall. But that's
How
what
much for Don?
do.
Okay, thank you very much, Don. Always great to hear from you.
Thank
Doug,
you.
what you have today? Doug Reeser?
Unmute
muted?
myself.
Yep.
Now I'm unmuted. I just wanted to say I travel on a regular basis up to Hubbard, Ohio for business, and it happens to be State College is one of the places that I stop for coffee on a regular basis. And so a friend of ours up there gave me a burl, and I made this out of it.
Wow.
He gave me the burl, and I took it on the condition that I give it back to him. So Ken, I'm bringing it back to you on Tuesday. Ken Vasco.
So you turned that offset, didn't you?
Yes.
So did you have a backer plate and weights? What did you do?
And then in this particular case, I had a circle for, when you take two plates and for doing for reverse turning, I put it between two rings, and I simply did the ring off center on the ring on the lathe, so I didn't have to put any plates or anything like that. And in fact, it wasn't even glued down; it was just stuck between and then just put it straight off center, and made that off center turning that way, and made it that way. And then the bottom is and the bottom is turned on a different off center then to make it centered there too. So anyway,
which did you turn first, the top or the bottom?
The top.
So you had the bottom in a chuck or chuckable.
Yes, I had the bottom it's chuckable, and then what I did is I made the bottom chuckable and then just to make the top flat.
Yeah.
So I made the bottom chuckable, made the top flat, then turned it over, and like that to make the bottom flat, and then turn it back again so that now it's between centers, and then finish it off. So anyway, polyurethane. So Anyway, Ken, you'll see it on Tuesday if you're around.
Nice project.
I plan on being around. I owe you a cup of coffee, though.
Okay, well, I'll accept that. That's all I
Randy.
have.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
Plate with screws on the when you first started turning.
Oops. Be back with you in a sec, Randy. Go ahead, Don. What did you say?
When you started turning, did you use a faceplate with screws on, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a bit of that.
Yeah, because I was wondering whether it wouldn't be nice if you put some little feet where the screw holes were, and raised.
Oh, sorry.
Raised it.
I hear what you're saying. I actually made this bottom. On this particular one, I didn't use a faceplate, so there's no screw holes on this one. But this one, I actually made it so it's on the bottom 3 corners. It's actually got 3 feet there, just naturally, so that it doesn't need. So it sits balanced.
Yeah. When I do those type of things, I do it so it just raises the elevation off the table.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just that little bit sometimes makes that more attractive.
Yeah.
I'll let Ken do that.
Does it pass the guacamole test? Would you ever put guacamole in it?
I actually made it so that you could. I wouldn't put guacamole in here, but I made it so you could put cut cheese or something along here. So this is actually to pass the guacamole test on this large surface. So you could actually make it sort of like a cheese and put crackers or something in a small dish in there. So
well, there you go. But it can sit sculptural too. It doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Strictly useful, except to be. Yep.
To be.
Randy Smith, couple minutes left. Take it away.
Well, I wanted to remind everybody that the Woodcraft Turn for the Troops is on November 8th and 9th this year. It's open to the public. We've had at our local Harrisburg store, we've had Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops. We've had young people as young as 5 who are turning pens for the troops serving our country. And I'm going to talk to Tom White about having a hands-on pen making exercise at the October meeting and get everybody interested in coming out making a couple of pens. With the normal activities in the Woodcraft store, all the materials are provided, plus tools, everything you need. You just need to walk in off the street.
Can you guys arrange to like use that shop for special events pretty much any time, or do you have your single time a month that you can use it? How does it work with you?
We can use the area during our meeting hours, and I'm sure that if we wanted to arrange something, provided it wasn't in use by the Woodcraft store, they would be more than happy to allow us to do that. We really want to support the Woodcraft store because they allow us to use that space for free, and they will provide us with a lathe, and we just have a great relationship with them.
Of course, they stay open at the cash register until the meeting starts as well, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
And I've never gone there.
They close the cash registers at 7, about 7 o'clock. Our meeting normally starts at 6:30.
There you go.
And I did.
So it's a win for both sides. I know every time I go there, I come away with a good meeting, a good fun with guys, and a bag of stuff I bought.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is something I made quite a while ago. This is one piece of mahogany. And I don't know if I can hold them all up. There's 3 of them. And unfortunately, I'm lacking one more hand. So these all came from the same block of mahogany. And they were finished with super glue. Because I make pens and I usually use a super glue finish. And I wanted to see if, in fact, I could make a larger object than a pen with the same super glue finish. And so This is the little finger bowls.
Now, how many applications of super glue does that take?
It took about 3.
Yeah.
These are quite thick. They're not really light because they're intended to be used as like finger bowls for carry, put your keys, put your change, et cetera, your wallet. This is this is about the largest one, and it's about 4 inches across.
That's a nice project.
So, and yeah, I just wanted to see if I could do that. And I made the edges quite thin. They're very sharp edges on the rim, not thick at all. So I'm not sure they would be useful. They might get nicked up, but I made those. And we're going to talk to. I want to ask Tom White if we can do a hands-on for the before the Turn for the Troops event is. So
good deal.
Support the troops.
Thank you very much, Randy.
That's it.
Thank you all. It's 11 o'clock. As we've done the hour. It's been very fun. We'll see you all next week. Same place.
Yep. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.